I'm glad Houston got somebody to fill in that spot after losing Trevor Ariza. 16.2 points a game last year, still not bad. I think he averaged, 20, 22, 23 points his whole career. He's still a Hall of Fame player. He's not the player he used to be. But to a degree, this might be his last stint of being a true starter in the NBA. He might have to start thinking about going to the bench and playing that role, coming off the bench and playing with some other guys. That's just my personal opinion. But we got to wait and see what's going to happen with Carmelo Anthony and company real soon. On that note, it's time to start getting on to the division side. I told you, we've been doing this for the last about a month and a half, do a division every week. When football season starts, we come 3 times a week. 3 times a week we'll be on the show talking about college football and the NFL. Talk a little high school football after a while. Talk about Louisiana high school football after a while when the season kicks off. So our division of the week this week will be the NFC North. The last year's division winners was the Minnesota Vikings with 13-3. Who finished second behind them was the Detroit Lions at 9-7. Finished third was the Green Bay Packers. Remember, Aaron Rodgers got hurt last year. And who finished last was the Chicago Bears at 5-11. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with this division this year. I think Minnesota is the team to beat. I'll just go ahead off the dome and say I think the Minnesota Vikings will win this division again because of the defensive reasons. Aaron Rodgers, if you have Aaron Rodgers, you have a chance. I think Green Bay fans can care less about winning the division. As long as we get in the playoffs, for sure, we know we got a chance for him to get hot and bring us all the way to the ship. So I'm pretty sure it don't bother them if they don't win the division. Green Bay just need to win 10 games. That's all they need. But one thing, I'm going to go back to both of them teams. One thing that I noticed was the Detroit Lions. And the Lions last year got a new head coach in Matt Patricia. 4 games last year, they lost between 3 to 7 points. And one thing I see that with a 9-7 record, easily, if you could take 2 games, they would have won. They would have been 11-5 in the playoff hunt. Not a bad football team. One thing about the Lions I always noticed, they one of them what if teams. They can get hot and they can get cold. And they just too topsy-turvy to a degree. And I really want to see if Detroit going to step it up this year with a new head coach. See what they're going to, defensively. I think they probably went more defensive side of the ball in the draft, I want to say. Detroit really one of them in the pack teams because of what they can do in the middle of the season. They hot and cold. It easily could have been 10-6 last year. I still don't think they would have got in because I think Carolina got in with 11-5 and they was the 6th seed. But you still had a winning season last year at 9-7. Even if you finished the year 10-6, successful season, you just didn't make the playoffs. So let's go back to the other three. So let's start with the Minnesota Vikings. Like I said, I think that's going to be the champs this year of the NFC North. Now, one thing I noticed, I think a lot of people don't talk about it enough, but Minnesota at the quarterback position, to say how much success that they have had. Now, they had a lot of down years as well, but at the quarterback position, they had moved on. They had moved a lot of people around. And like the last person I think who was the starting quarterback that was there for multiple years was Dante Culpepper before they moved on from him. Now, interesting fact, I went all the way back to 2004. There's only been 3 quarterbacks from 2004 to where we at right now. 3 quarterbacks that have started all 16 games for the Minnesota Vikings. That's Favre, Culpepper, and Teddy Bridgewater. Now, how many starting quarterbacks since 2004 they have had? The Minnesota Vikings have had 16 starting quarterbacks since 2004, and Kirk Cousins would be the 17th when the season starts this year. That's a lot of quarterbacks to go through in them years with Tavares Jackson, Christian Ponder, Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Bradford, Case Keenum. I mean, they have went. I think Joe Webb. Did Joe Webb play? No, Joe Webb didn't play for him. No, Joe Webb. I think he did play for him for a little while. Joe Webb. They have went through some quarterbacks in Brett Favre. They went through some quarterbacks in Minnesota. I forgot Donovan McNabb. They have went through some people, man. They've been through a lot of people. They just couldn't get it right, you know. And when they thought they found it with Teddy, Teddy got hurt. They moved on from Teddy. They didn't want to waste the team. I think this is another team that's just the ceiling is not made for them to win a championship. And they're a great football team, but let's go back and remember something. They kind of got exposed at the end. Remember, they gave up 24 points to the Saints in the second half. The last 6 quarters they played haven't been the best 6 quarters of football. They gave up a total, I think, 58, maybe 62 points in the last 6 quarters of football. They got blown out by the Philadelphia Eagles. They gave up 24 to the Saints. I mean, if the Saints if they tackle, you know, the best defense in football got exposed in the second half. So I really don't know. I really don't know what the Vikings got in store. I think Kirk Cousins still going to give them at least about 12-4, 11-5 record. That's why I say I think Green Bay going to give you about 10-6. And Detroit, possibly around that same mix. I think Detroit probably still missed the playoffs because they lost too many division games. But I think Detroit still find themselves 10-6, 9-7 again this year. And my biggest what if is the Chicago Bears. I want to see Mitch Trubisky at least take this team to at least be 500. And that's what I mean. I think it's going to affect Detroit because I think Chicago going to find a way to win a game and win a few games in this division to mess up a few teams to get in the playoffs. I want to see Chicago at least find themselves at 7-9 or at least 8-8. Chicago going to be on the up and up, making progress with the young Mitch Trubisky at the quarterback position. So for sure, like I said, NFC North, I think I'll definitely give the Vikings at least 11 to 12 wins. I give Green Bay at least 9 to 10. I give Detroit probably the same thing I'll give them between 8 to 10. And I'll give the Chicago Bears 7-9 or 8-8 this season. For sure. So it's going to be an interesting year for the NFC North this season. Now, probably next week. Remember last segment we did with the AFC? I started to give my top teams in each division. Well, in the conference, I'm sorry. So we'll probably do that next week. Looking at that. Also, probably next week, we're probably going to start looking at week 1 matchups for the big matchups. Big matchups for college football week 1 as well. So we're going to close out the show with one more segment. Last segment, like I said, I'm going to my Twitter poll question. And what I did, I pulled up, I looked at some things I've seen over the last couple of weeks. And just looking at some of the great careers of these guys who played in the league or played in college and they just got because of injuries. So my question was, what professional player would you like to have a reset button? So the choices was Robert Griffin III, Teddy Bridgewater, Derrick Rose, and Brandon Roy. Rose won 65% of the votes. Roy and Bridgewater had 10%, and RG3 had 15% of the votes. No shocker. I figure everybody want to see Derrick Rose when the come back and be the old Derrick Rose of old. No shock about that. But if I had to really and truly vote, if I really had to vote for a player to have the success, come back and play at a higher level, restart his career, mine would have been Brandon Roy. Brandon Roy was a 3-time All-Star for the Portland Trail Blazers. Him and LaMarcus Aldridge came in the league at the same time playing for Portland. He was a second-team All-NBA 2009. He was a third-team All-NBA 2010. He was Rookie of the Year 2007. First-team All-Rookie 2007. Pac-12 Hall of Fame. I mean, this young man was possibly one of the more exciting players in the league. And it's just a shame, like his career just got messed up because of injuries. And I mean, it makes you wonder if Portland would have never drafted Greg Oden and drafted Kevin Durant, Portland could really win a championship with that young core and build around it. Probably got to get the right coaching staff, but could you imagine having LaMarcus Aldridge in your front court with Kevin Durant and Brandon Roy as your two guard? Brandon Roy played a little point guard as well, but as your two guard. Now, I don't think you ever would be able to draft Damian Lillard. I don't think he would be able to come around at that time, but you never would have known. You never would have known what could have happened. Never would have known what could have happened. That team, low-key, you got 3 all-stars on the team. A solid power forward who plays the game very, very smoothly. Then you also got you got the assassin, the killer, and Kevin Durant. It's just like, once again, I say this about Kevin Durant all the time. He picks his spots on the floor on how he wants to kill you. And he kills all sizes. I mean, what he did to Anthony Davis in the playoffs, AD stepped up and guarded the man, AD in his face, and he just kept knocking shots down. This man is unstoppable. One of the best players in the league at the end of the day. I don't like what he did as a business decision, but he's still one of the best players to watch in the league, man. And you can put that with Brandon Roy, 3-time All-Star, who took off but never really took off to the moon. I think Portland would have been working with something low-key. I think Portland fans realize that now, We took Greg Oden. Greg Oden never worked out. We decided to put Greg Oden and LaMarcus Aldridge together. Didn't work out. Maybe we should have took the Kevin Durant route. We might be sitting in a different spot right now. Oklahoma City would have been in Portland, and you never would have known what could have happened back then. Would James Harden still be playing in the backcourt with Russell Westbrook if Kevin Durant wasn't there? It's a lot of what ifs when you think about it, but it's all because Portland passed on Kevin because he couldn't bench press 135 pounds, and they had to keep him moving. Now look who creates it now. Them on the verge of, it's bad. It's bad. I guess Kevin Durant still feels some type of way that Portland didn't draft him. When he went on CJ McCollum podcast, they say, y'all never win a championship. But the sad part is, he ain't lying. Portland not helping out their star players in CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard. They're not helping them out at all. They got a long way to go, man. A long, long way to go. But on that note, we're going to wrap it up. I appreciate you guys for listening in today. Listen. God is love, man. Y'all continue to show love, man. Give God some praise because they got so much going on in the world right now. I just want y'all to know, just stay safe, continue to trust God, and let God work out all your problems on whatever you're dealing with in your little life. Continue to trust God and love God. On that note, we're going to be out of here. Listen, we're going to be back next week. I think we might start next week. Next division will be the NFC East. Probably break down each team in the East and probably look at my division at the conference, trying to break down the conference people who going to be the best in the conference in the NFC next week. So we're going to do the NFC East next week. Try to start talking a little bit about LSU football as they get prepared to play the Miami Heat, the Miami Hurricanes in Dallas in a couple of weeks. So we're getting ready for that first week of August next week, August the 2nd. So we'll be back. I love y'all. God bless y'all. Subscribe to Spreaker. I'm about to get my YouTube page up. Shout out to my cousin Maturing Quietly, who's we probably gonna have a couple of Madden games coming soon on his channel. So y'all be tuned in there. I'll give y'all more details about that. Shout out to my producer Shaq. Showing love to everybody this afternoon. God bless y'all. Love y'all. And we'll catch y'all soon. Peace.